giving everybody a shared vision for what it is that you're trying to solve for, and what some of the potential solutions might be for that is incredibly helpful in coming up with the right solution that you want to build. And AI doesn't change any of that, right? I think these exercises are essential for us to make sure that everybody who's involved in specifying a product, building a product, supporting the product, selling the product, all of us want to be aligned in what's going to deliver value to the end users of whatever that tool is, whether it's a commercial product, whether it's an internal tool, doesn't matter what it is. We want to make sure that we're delivering the most value possible. And making sure that all those people have a chance to weigh in on what's important, because they've all got a different perspective, whether it's operational, whether it's business value, whether it's user experience. All those different perspectives are incredibly helpful to specifying the right thing, choosing the right problem to solve, and ultimately building the right solution that's going to deliver that value most quickly.
Hi, welcome to Stack Sessions. I'm Jeff Keyes, Field CTO at AllStacks, where we dig into how AI is reshaping the way software gets built and decided across product and engineering. I'm really excited about today. I'm joined by Mike Mitchell, Strategy and Product Principal for North America at EqualExperts. Mike spent a long time, and I'll just leave it at that, I won't count years, but a long time as a tech founder, consultant, and product strategist. Lately, he's been chasing a question I can't stop thinking about. Everybody can say that they're using AI now, but almost no one can say they actually changed how the work gets done. Adoption is everywhere, maturity is rare. And that's the part that's getting squeezed, isn't it? So, Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Jeff. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. Well, just before we get going, tell us a bit more. I gave just a high level. Who is Mike Mitchell? Where did you get the ideas on things you've been working on, and why now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've alluded to my beard already here, Jeff. So yeah, I began my career as an engineer and just loved innovating. And I did some product work there, but a lot was implementation and sales engineering. And I gradually moved into a product role as I wanted to be more involved in innovation, but retain my connection with customers. And as you mentioned, I've been on the founding team. My longest stint there was as a founder of Mission Mode Solutions, which did incident management and crisis communications back in the early 2000s, leading our product and ops organization. But since then, I've been consulting, and I've been doing that with larger firms and also independently as a fractional CPO. And while doing that, I've built product teams often from the ground up at startups, but I've also led a few very large transformation programs of different types. And that positioned me well for what I'm doing now with EqualExperts, where I'm responsible for our approach to product management and strategy in North America. And a lot of that job is just thinking about how AI is affecting those product disciplines. So product management, strategy, business analysis, and design, and thinking about what our clients should be doing to deliver more value with AI. So I've been about a year now with EqualExperts, and a lot of our work has been exploring these things. And of course, the landscape has changed immensely in the last year. I mean, the last year is when everything has really taken off, and we've seen the growth of all of these different frameworks and harnesses now that the people are using. So it's been a really exciting time.
It's so true. I can't tell you the number of times I've heard that people are modernizing their product management teams to be more AI product managers. And I say, what's that mean? And the answer is, well, we're having them try out a bunch of tools and frameworks and harnesses. And I don't want to say they're token maxing the PM role now, but it almost feels that way. Is that what you're seeing?
I think everybody's trying a lot of different stuff. And what we're seeing is that everybody's trying something different And so I spent a little bit of time looking at surveys people have been doing of the industry over the last few months. Most of these surveys are done kind of at the company level. So you see that companies as a whole are adopting AI. They've adopted it this much. They've adopted it in these organizations. What it doesn't tell you is what's happening within each of those different companies, right? And I think each of them look very different. And how they're adopting AI within their companies is different across the different functions. It's different across different types of companies, but there's no question that at least individual people are adopting AI and using lots of different tools to experiment and figure out how they can get value out of it. And so I think from that perspective, there's a ton of use by product people of AI of different types. And it could be just the underlying foundational LLMs that they're using. It could be tools built on top of those. It could be new AI functionality within the tools that they've traditionally used. There's a lot of different ways that they're using it, but all of them are using it to some degree. And the question is, are they using it together effectively to really produce bottom line impact at the company? Or are they just kind of getting individual productivity increases?
Yeah. I think that's your line that really stuck with me. It's like there's a lot of AI adoption, but is there any place where AI has genuinely changed how they operate? And what are you seeing with that? Like, what are success areas of changing how they operate?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been seeing some places where organizations have completely changed how they're operating, and EqualExperts is helping a number of organizations make this transition. And I know that you had my colleague Chris Kondo here, and he was talking about Travelopia, which is a great example because they've got folks in their business organization now actually contributing to development of their technology products. And it's not just the people in the engineering organization, it's not just people in product management, it is people in the actual business who are contributing with code to what they're building. And so it's really amazing what we're seeing in some of these organizations that have taken the approach of, we want to adopt this as a team or as an organization. What are the patterns that we need to build? What are the practices that we need to build? What are the muscles we need to build as people in the organization to be able to take the most advantage of these tools?
I love it. And, when you talk to the leadership around these tools and methods and who are a little bit stuck, what do you describe to help, or what advice do you give them to unblock, to break down the barriers on how to move forward wherever they're at? What are some of the common themes that you hear yourself telling people?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of different challenges that people might run into here, right? And it's very diverse. I spent a little bit of time talking to a number of companies about how they've been adopting AI, and the differences I saw between all these different individual organizations was really amazing, just to see how they're all approaching it. And I think the challenges were really varied that they ran into. It's different within each organization. It's uneven within the organization as well as across the industry. So it seems a little bit fractal to me, actually, because of that, right? So as you dive in, you see different ways in which the diversity kind of rears its head. One of the challenges is in just deciding to do this, right? So as an organization, you want to decide to figure out how we're going to do this as a team. It has to go beyond just giving everybody a license to one of the tools and saying, all right, everybody go for it, right? Just use your individual thing. You're going to get productivity increases for sure that way. But I think what we're seeing is you're not going to get a organization-wide, and that can take many forms as to why they're not seeing that. I think some of it is just around procurement and licensing. That model has not been built up in the way to support agents, right? It's built to support people, right? And the agentic patterns that are driving how much they're using these tools and the cost of those tools, how those tools are authenticated. Again, you're looking at an individual seat. You're not looking at a person plus these 5 agents that all use the tool separately from you, right? So there's some challenges there in that kind of mundane aspect to how you run your business. There's certainly psychological things and emotional things. Back when we were doing agile transformations, some companies are still doing agile transformations, and now they're just kind of jumping straight to AI transformations.
Right.
Right? But an agile transformation, most people weren't worried about this transformation happening affecting their job, right? This was just a new skill they had to learn. That's a new way of working. It's not something they had to worry about replacing them. Like they were an integral part of that new process. The same is not necessarily true of AI from everybody's perspective. I happen to think that our skills as practitioners of these different roles going to be even more important going forward with AI. There are a lot of things that AI cannot replace. Our judgment, our emotional IQ, like these things are unique to us and are not going to be replaced by AI, and they're essential in building good software products. But not everybody feels that way. So definitely people are concerned about that piece. Measurement is a huge one, right? So many organizations, like near and dear to your heart, Jeff. So measurement is super important, and a lot of people are not measuring even today the things that are really driving the success of their organization. It's a hard thing to start and build that practice into how you do things, so that it's just second nature to everybody in the team. And so now, if you want to measure improvement of your organization with AI, how do you do that if you don't know where your starting point is? So you've got to start measuring this stuff, right? And I think with AI, it's going to be speed. You need to know how fast you're going now, how much did we speed things up, but also quality, right? It's who cares how much faster you're going if now you're just producing crap, right? It needs to be at least as good as it was, hopefully better. So those are things that are incredibly important to tackle as an organization in order to get everybody going, make them feel comfortable starting, make them feel comfortable continuing to experiment as an organization, and then knowing when the things that you've chosen to do are actually successful in driving impact across the organization.
So true. Begin with what you're trying to achieve from an outcome. That is the common message I think I hear more than anything else. The role changes of product management to focusing not just on speed and quality, but focus on the actual deliverables, or the actual outcome you're trying to achieve, whether that be adoption, consumption, quality improvement, overall pipeline improvements themselves. It's fascinating to think that this is our whole job now from the product side. Make the thing better, make people desire it, make the things that are valuable, available, usable, all the other able words that fit into that category. Yep. So they're good. Hey, when we were talking, we talked a bit about a survey, and you referenced how roughly half of organizations are getting real lift from AI and engineering, but only a fraction of that in strategy. And you also talked about some other areas that we're breaking, and we're discussing that. But on strategy specifically, how does that connect with some of the outcomes and things we were just talking about of looking at the improvements that AI is making?
There was just a survey that was published in the last month about this, and it showed that dead on 50% of organizations were seeing a huge impact in their engineering department from AI. Under 20% though for strategy, and under 10% for team collaboration. So these organizations are not seeing the same kind of impact. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because most product development teams have a ton of engineers. And so if that's the part of the organization that you're accelerating, you expect to see a lot of impact there. And it's because it's where all the cost is, right? It's probably where all these organizations really want to invest improvements out of AI. But that doesn't mean the other things aren't just as important. And especially as we accelerate engineering, there's going to be a huge demand for making sure that the things that engineers are doing are the best things that they can be doing, right? We want the decisions that we're making in our strategy to be the ones that are going to drive the business forward the fastest and the most, right? We want to have the best positive impact on our customers of those products. And so strategy is immensely important, right? We want to make sure that those decisions are great, and we want to make sure that everybody's aligned around those decisions as well. So that collaboration aspect is also really important. So I'm exploring using Claude Code starting last fall, and I've got all these screens of text just scrolling past like I'm in the Matrix. And your eyes just glaze over after a while, right? It's like, I got to step away and do something else. Like I can't consume any more text. And I recognized how big a problem this is, or it could potentially be for collaboration across teams, which is so important to the strategy process.
Yeah, well, and that really kind of takes you to the next level. By the way, I couldn't be a bigger fan of Claude Code as well. I as well have gotten so many tabs open, and between Claude Code and Cursor, I don't know how it would ever work again in any other way. But following this forward, you kind of got an extra bit on this, thinking, how do I actually get alignment with people, which took you into creating, I think you called it a visual strategy workshop. And this is really cool. I'm really excited for you to tell people about this.
Sure, yeah. So as I was thinking about this, I started to think about, well, what do we normally do as product people, right? Because as we're doing more strategic work, and by the way, I recognize a lot of product people are already pressed for time, even before AI, right? Many of them are doing less strategy work than they want to do, and less strategy work than their organizations should want them to do, right? Just because they're under pressure to write stories and PRDs and all these other things that are consumed downstream by their engineering team. So I started thinking, well, what are the things that we do when we do strategy work as product people? And a lot of it is your discovery, talking to our customers, to our stakeholders. It's spending time thinking deeply about those things. It is working with our teammates across the product team to get their ideas on, how could we implement a solution for this? What even is the problem here? Which is the problem that we should be solving? Which is the one that's most important? And these types of decisions are made with a team, with other people usually. When we put our brains together, there are things that we can come up with that are hard to come up with individually. And we get together in a room and we do it visually, right? We put things on a whiteboard, we draw things, we erase things, we edit each other's drawings, right? There's a lot of different things that we do, but we learn so much better visually, and we retain so much more information visually than we do just if we're reading something. And the research backs this up. So I was thinking, how do we move from this world where I'm working in a terminal session or an editor and just letting AI produce documents for me, which is not very collaborative, and it's really hard to collaborate around these documents, to a world where I'm still using AI to accelerate things and make better decisions, but I'm doing the visual stuff that I know builds good products, right? And helps me align with my team. So I played around with I just took Claude Code and I said, let's connect this to some type of diagramming tool. And I chose Miro. Everybody knows what Miro is. And said, let's just use it to create some of these workshop artifacts that we'd otherwise work around. And maybe it would, these things are not necessarily hard to create on your own, right? But if we are getting pushed for time as product people, and we already feel like we don't have enough time, the time it takes to do some of these workshops might just be too much to make it happen, right? It might just be enough where you decide, no, I'm just going to use the AI to generate this PRD for me, to write my stories for me. And then it's just, it's good enough. I'll just send that to the engineering team. I know that this is something that's happening to people, right? It just gotta be. And so, because it just happens to me, it's like, okay, I'm getting tired. This has gotta be good enough. And you have to kind of restrain yourself from just sending out blobs of AI generated stuff that could very well be crap, right?
Yep.
And actually it worked pretty well to generate some of these diagrams that I would want to use in a workshop and bring people in and do a real workshop around them. So I've been really encouraged by the creation of these things. But then I had to figure out, all right, how do we get this into something that is part of the workflow? I want to turn this workshop into an AI-powered workflow, and how does that work? So that's where I've been spending a bunch of time over the last month or so.
I love it. And what kind of boards and processes have you gone through? I know you You had mentioned a little bit on story mapping, but give a little bit of an outline, some of the things you've done.
Yeah, story mapping is one of them. It's one of my more favorite workshops to do because it's very close to the customer and helps us really think about the problem that we're trying to solve for the customer, and also kind of gives us a hint into what some of the solutions might be. Just thinking about what is their journey through this workflow that they're trying to complete and that kind of thing. So it could be a very rich type of diagram with lots of things built into it. So it's a good example to use for this. But I've also been creating opportunity solution trees, assumption maps, and even prototypes, which is a different type of visual exercise altogether, but still can kind of follow a similar pattern where I want to collaborate with people and then bring it back into my planning process. And you might notice a theme here as all this is very heavily skewed toward Teresa Torres' continuous discovery habits, types of diagrams and things. Many people are familiar with those as well. And so I figured they'd be good things to bring into this as her book is incredibly popular over the last 5 or 6 years. And those are just diagrams that I think everybody would be familiar with. So those are some of the other types of diagrams I've been doing this with, but they all fit really well into a typical product strategy workflow that you would want to go through ahead of finalizing a bunch of stories to hand off to your engineering team.
Yeah, what a great way. I mean, look, you do this every day with different teams, and I've got to believe the inspiration here is the challenges you face in not solutioning, but getting people aligned and bought into the process. What are you finding that workshopping has done for that? Because previously, creating a workshop, that's a chunk of work. Just getting ready for an hour or two kind of session to get people together, and now you can get it done cheaper. But what's the impact of actually doing these workshops with your clients?
Yeah, I think it can be significant potentially. And I just started working on this, a month or so ago. So I honestly have not been able to try it out on a client engagement yet. And so I'm really anxious to do it because, I found that I can create one of these workshops, or at least the artifacts for these workshops, in 5 minutes. And what it uses is the assets that I've been building in my AI-powered workflow already using Claude Code. So as you can use Claude Code for things like transcribing a conversation, pulling out insights from a conversation, all with human in the loop, of course. I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. I want to make sure that everything's correct. But it's still a huge accelerant to some of these activities that I would do as an individual human before AI, right? And so I've got all this stuff that I've generated and I've validated, and it's sitting in very often my code repository, right? I've chosen to put all those things into code repository because it's close to the code. It's where my team can read it. They already have access to it. And now that all that stuff is in there, I can just turn around and tell Claude Code, hey, please generate for example, story map out of the stories that I've just generated from my PRD. And it can go up and create those, and with the right rules, and I've built skills around these things so that it knows what does a story map look like, what goes in each part of it, how do I take stories from files, markdown files in my code repository, and create yellow stickies on a mural board with them. Where do I put them? Right? How do I prioritize them if I've got multiple swim lanes for different release horizons? And once you've kind of created those rules, all that stuff is mechanical, right? So it's pretty easy for it to build these diagrams, and that's true for all the different diagram types that I tried to create. It's really good at creating them.
Sure.
And then you got to think about, all right, well, what happens after you do the workshop with your team and then bring it back into the code repository or into those files to use downstream? And I had to figure out how to do that. And that was a little bit of a bigger challenge.
Typically, I mean, you've done a lot of workshops, which is where this all came from, and you've done a lot of product discovery things. How effective have those things been for helping your customers get aligned, get together, ideate, basically move dirt on a problem?
Yeah. Well, they've always been incredibly helpful, right? I think, as I said, the giving everybody a shared vision for what it is that you're trying to solve for, and what some of the potential solutions might be for that is incredibly helpful in coming up with the right solution that you want to build. And AI doesn't change any of that, right? I think these exercises are essential for us to make sure that everybody who's involved in specifying a product, building a product, supporting the product, selling the product, all of us want to be aligned in what's going to deliver value to the end users of whatever that tool is, whether it's a commercial product, whether it's an internal tool, doesn't matter what it is. We want to make sure that we're delivering the most value possible. And making sure that all those people have a chance to weigh in on what's important, because they've all got a different perspective, whether it's operational, whether it's business value, whether it's user experience. All those different perspectives are incredibly helpful to specifying the right thing, choosing the right problem to solve, and ultimately building the right solution that's going to deliver that value most quickly.
So, at Equal Experts, you sit right next to product and engineering teams across a lot of companies, and you're actively interviewing real PM teams, including, you mentioned Travelopia and others. How are you seeing the job of product management changing, and what's happening from things you're seeing at the team structures? What kind of common patterns are you seeing in this transformation?
Good question. Well, and it's still really early, to be honest. I mean, I think there's no one pattern that we're seeing being adopted or recommending, right? I think we're still feeling it out. These tools are still changing every single week, right? Like I feel like I'm definitely one of the top adopters of these technologies, and I still have FOMO. Like every couple of weeks, there's a new thing, and I haven't tried it yet. And I feel like I'm behind, even though I know just logically that I'm not. And I can't imagine what most of our clients feel about the pace that these things are changing, because they've got a lot of governance that they're dealing with on a regular basis in larger organizations. Yep. And that limits how quickly they can move. And so they must feel like they're really far behind. But the fact is, everybody's still figuring this out. It is moving so fast that nobody's got it figured out right now. And even if you did have it figured out, it's going to be different next week, right?
Yep.
So
yep.
I don't think
so true.
I don't think there's a single answer right now. I think we're still experimenting. Our clients are still experimenting. We're experimenting together with them. We're trying to figure out what are the things that are possible, what are the different models we could try, and what are their pros and cons. And so I'm not going to claim that there is one right way of doing this right now, but I do think that the disciplines that have become important up to now, even before AI, were important for a reason, right? And the skills and the knowledge and the experience that we bring to engineering, to design, to product management and product strategy, those are continuing to matter. Those still matter for lots of different reasons. We can't just turn everything over to AI. We know that it's not going to do everything right on its own. We need to be in the loop. We need to be there guiding it and tweaking things and making sure that it continues to go on the right path and validating that it's done the right things. So I think the importance of each of these roles is going to continue, but how we make sure that the knowledge and the benefits of each of those disciplines is applied to this process is going to change. We're going to be more of orchestrators and coordinators and planners and less doers, which I think is very positive for many reasons. There's a lot of toilsome activities in some of these disciplines, right, that we don't enjoy doing. That would be great to be able to hand off to an AI. But the things that make humans unique in this process need to still be there. They still need to be in the process. And I think only humans can add that. So I don't see the humans going away. I think that their expertise in each of these areas is going to remain just as important.
Yeah, so true. +1 to what you just said, just spot on. It helped me answer this question because I get this question a lot. For a product manager that feels like their job is being commoditized, where do you see that they need to and lean in, if you will? What's the durable, defensible work that does not get automated away, or that they should not automate it?
Well, it's in a number of different areas. So if we're talking about product management and product strategy, making the right decisions is always going to be, your killer skill, right? Like that is the secret sauce of your company. It's what's going to still be differentiating you. Is how do you make the best product decisions? If everybody can move at the same speed and you can build anything, how do you use your style and your taste and your knowledge to build the right stuff more frequently? So to the degree that you can use AI to buy yourself time to do that deep thinking, to make the right decisions, that's where you should spend your time. And so some of these techniques that I've been spending my time on are geared in that direction, right? How do we save time so that product people can do more of that deep thinking and strategy work, make better decisions that lead to better products down the road? And I think that could look different for every organization depending on how their workflow works. What are the pieces that you need to automate? And so if you can spend time thinking about, where do I spend all my time? Where do I spend time that I don't want to be spending? What kind of takes energy away from me versus gives me energy back? And those places that kind of sap your energy away are the places where you might want to apply AI and see if you can automate some of those things away. So that you can spend more time doing the things that energize you. And those are often going to be innovation activities, right? How do I spend time doing the things that drive differentiation for my products, and also build those things that delight my customers, where I get happy phone calls from customers and not like sad, angry phone calls from customers. How do I drive that type of activity?
Yeah. And probably to your point earlier, things are changing so fast that a certain amount of time you should be leaning into some of the innovations that are out there. Learn about what's new and understand what's changing this week, this month. What are the new releases that are out there? Something that struck me as you were talking as well, the only difference between someone heavily steeped in one area or not, of being able to do workshops, for example, is your ability to prompt whatever your tool is of choice to go create that. It's no different. So go learn enough so that you can start prompt. You've got an expert sitting on your desktop that'll go help these things. Want to go reach out to Miro, or get a hold of you later, and we'll see what you come up with that you can share out, maybe open source or whatever you're going to do with that. But it's a strong direction that all of us should be thinking about as we move forward in what we do on the product side.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I wanted to call out about that too is you can use AI to help you build things, right? So I've been talking about these boards, for example, but be thinking about how you can use AI to add value to that process, right? It's not just doing it for you. It's also got the ability to add additional value that may be difficult for you to add yourself at scale. So, for example, in the workshop automation that I've been doing, creating visual workshops, I'm creating the board, but I'm also using AI to then read the board afterwards and translate all that material, all the changes I've made, all the collaboration I did with my team back into those artifacts that live in my code repository next to my code, and can automate downstream activities now. So now I've got a set of stories that have been worked on by the team, and within 5 minutes after the workshop is done, they've all been updated in my set of stories, whether that's in Markdown files or in Jira or in whatever other tool we're talking about, that can immediately feed the engineering process without me having to do anything else, right? I didn't have to go take pictures of a whiteboard, copy down yellow stickies,
Right.
type into a bunch of Jira stories. I didn't have to do any of that. It's all now already there, ready to go downstream for other agentic processes to use. And so try to be thinking about where you can do those kinds of things, where you can add governance into the middle of this step that other departments in your company would want you to execute, right? Making sure that security and cost and things like that are worked through. Use it to help enforce some of those things for you and automate them where they'd otherwise be a human-led process and be difficult to do.
Yeah, and I also find it interesting that there are roles that have been human-led that are straight tedious, and I wonder if that lifespan of role will continue. I'm thinking of like project managers or just a simplistic product owner kind of role whose only job is to watch the process, or a scrum master who's just making sure that things are moving. I wonder how much of that is going to exist in the future versus someone who has more of the creativity, who can define features, build features, and work that through, create a workshop, get alignment from the team. So many more possibilities, if you will, of what's coming.
That's definitely true, and I think this is one of those areas where we say, well, can we see this job going away? I don't know that I think maybe some of the tasks in the job go away, right? So what we're really talking about is task automation. It's not necessarily a role automation. And I think that there are even though some tasks are going away, there are going to be new tasks coming. So now who's the person who's managing the skills and the agent definitions that I build, right? So those things need to get built. Somebody needs to manage them. Somebody needs to know if they failed in a certain way. It needs to be updated. So I think some of these roles that have some maybe more cumbersome, burdensome tasks that are going away will have some new tasks added to them that are much more additive in value to the organization that these people can do instead. So my hope is that people's jobs do change and a lot of those cumbersome tasks go away, but now they feel more valuable because the new tasks that they can do with the help of AI are producing more positive outcomes for their organization than what they were doing before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward, the year ahead, say we're back here in a year, what do you hope that you'll be able to say has really changed over this next year? And maybe the follow on, what are the cautionary versions of things that you hope have not happened?
Well, let me answer the second thing first. There's a lot of memes out there now saying that's like, okay, and a lot of people are making fun of this process, right? Like anybody can build things now, right? And I think while that is definitely true, everybody can build things. I mean, there's this concept of maybe disposable software that's kind of come out where like, okay, you need a thing, just go build it for yourself and use it for yourself. What I don't want is everybody to have their own version of every product that they use, right? It's great if you can build something for yourself, right? But many people are going to try to build and sell these things, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not sustainable. In many ways, it's not sustainable. So I hope that is a realization that the industry comes to, and those of us who've been in the industry a long time already knew, but I think people who now feel like they're coming into the industry as software developers recognize in the next year that, okay, this is not viable or sustainable. The things that we learn as software engineers, as product managers, is those things are still valuable. There's a reason why we spent years or decades learning these disciplines, and there's a reason why it takes that long. And the results of somebody else who haven't gone through that process of learning and failing, there's a reason why they haven't been able to succeed up to now without AI. And those reasons persist even in the world of AI.
So true.
So that's what I hope doesn't happen.
All I heard you say was back to the Matrix, where all I can see is a million Agent Smith. Yeah, we're talking to Mr. Anderson, right? And there's a million Agent Smiths out there, and that's the world we're stepping into. Everyone's got their own version.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And now that I've said that, I think that almost any other situation would be great to see it a year from now. I definitely don't want to see the Matrix happening, and I think we're a long ways away from that. I think we're nowhere close to AGI. I'm one of those people that doesn't think that we're anywhere close to that. So I think there's a lot of positive things that could come out of this, and based on what I've seen in the last year or year and a half. With the advance of AI-powered software engineering, is that we cannot predict what the heck it's going to look like a year from now, right? Mm-hmm. It is moving so fast. I have no idea what it's going to look like, and I don't even want to hope for a particular thing because I think I'm going to be way off, right? I think it's going to go beyond whatever I can think of right now.
I love it. I love it. What's a whole bunch of great tidbits out of today, workshops. And automate the effort to keep people aligned. Use AI to automate a lot of the minutia of the job, and make sure to lean in using your own human creativity in the process. Look at how software can be commoditized and used across various groups in the industry itself. Watch out for some common pitfalls. I love how you brought up the things of product that were important to product. They're still important to product. You just have more tools to do them. I think this is all fantastic. What a great set of discussions, Mike. This has been a fantastic time. How do people get a hold of you?
Probably the best way is LinkedIn. You can reach me at Mike Mitchell on LinkedIn with EqualExperts. Some of my writings and things you can find on the EqualExperts website as well.
Fantastic. Well, what a great time. What a great session. And thanks for being here. It's always, it's just fascinating to see the things you're hearing from your customers and how you're advising them.
It was my pleasure, Jeff. Thanks very much.
This has been fantastic. My name's Jeff Keyes, and until next time, this has been Stack Sessions.